Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. The latest scam in the startup world is that in a company called Target One Innovations Private Limited, which operates under the brand name GoMechanic. The dubious affairs of this company came out in the open when its promoters were forced to come clean after incriminating findings were found out and unearthed by the audit firm EY, which conducted a due diligence into the affairs of the company at the behest of potential new investors who had been approached by the struggling company for more equity funds. Ironically, the loss-making company, loaded with skeletons on its balance sheet, was seeking to raise further capital from the likes of SoftBank and Khazana at a mega entity valuation of about $600 to $650 million, which is a huge jump from its last round of valuation of about $285 million, both of which now appear to be an utter farce. Like in the case of many startups, the company was bleeding tons of cash year after year, and yet its investment value too was going up year after year. The fact is that the irrational investors who were willing to fund the GoMechanic story year after year seem to be unaware of its mounting losses, of its rising cash burn, and of its apparent accounting manipulations, since they paid little attention to the affairs of GoMechanic and also to its books of account. When the company approached a new set of investors for raising more funds, these potentially new investors, before they took a call on investment, they commissioned EY to look into the accounts of GoMechanic, and EY found out glaring lapses in its books of accounts and in its operations, and the audit firm raised red flags in terms of fictitious garages, in terms of inflated revenue on the books of accounts of the company, in terms of revenue discrepancies and a potential siphoning of funds by the promoters of the company. That was the end of the story of getting more and more investors on board by this murky entity. All this has cascaded into the start of a forensic investigation into the books of accounts of the company, the dismissal of 70% of the employees of the company, and it has also made the promoters to come out with a forced confession of what was going on. With a cat out of the bag, its co-founder Amit Bhasin wrote on LinkedIn about the company's murky affairs and its state and what all they had done. He wrote on his page that we take full responsibility for this current situation and have unanimously decided to restructure its business while we look for capital solutions. The fact is, they had no choice to do that, but to do that. He further writes that we got carried away. Our passion to survive the intrinsic challenges of this sector and to manage capital took the better of us, and it caused errors in judgment as we followed growth at any cost, including in regard to financial reporting, which we deeply regret. This was the statement that he made, and it speaks volumes about what was going on. He further writes that there is going to be a third-party forensic audit in the books of accounts of the company. In other words, now there will be a complete audit and investigation, and of course, all the red flags that have been raised by EY perhaps will come out to be true. In response to this statement, the Economic Times rightly remarked that startups are fighting a tough financial environment. They are finding it difficult to survive, but that does not discount the necessity to maintain proper governance standards. We would further add to say that the deep regret expressed by the founders of GoMechanic for their misconduct will neither restore the erosion of trust in startups and will neither redeem the tens of millions of dollars lost by the investors because of the business, financial, and accounting malpractices that have taken place at GoMechanic. Speaking about the company, a report in Money Control says that it was founded in 2016 and that it operates a network of partner garages and workshops which claim to provide quality car repairing services at much lower rates than the authorized repair centers of the automobile companies. GoMechanic claims to have over 1,000 partner garages across 40 cities in India, and it also supplies spare parts and accessories, both taken from OEMs and also under its own brand. The company is said to earn a commission of about 5% from the garages to whom it refers its customers to. GoMechanic soon got onto the startup irrational exuberance bandwagon with this business model, and it managed to attract investments from venture funds at enormous premiums in multiple rounds of investing each year. Interestingly, as its losses mounted year after year and it burnt investor funds, so did the valuation premium that they charge from the investors shoot up in every investment and valuation round. Between 2019 to 2022, the company raised about 400 crores from investment funds at huge premiums by allotting CCPS, which is compulsorily convertible preference shares, to the unsuspecting investors. While it incurred a loss of about rupees 5 crores on a turnover of about rupees 18 crores in 2019, it yet managed to raise about rupees 34 crores from the investors that year by allotting shares of rupees 10 each at a premium of rupees 17,545 per share in round 1. And then in round 2 in the same financial year, it allotted shares at a premium of 33,619 per share. The premium doubled within a year despite losses going up. The next year, which is in financial year 2020, even though the company incurred a staggering loss of about rupees 59 crores on a turnover of rupees 25 crores, it yet managed to raise about 105 crore rupees from investors by allotting shares of rupees 10 each at a shocking premium of rupees 1,09,867 per share of rupees 10. The company further incurred losses of about rupees 27 crores on income of rupees 47 crores in 2021. And despite that, and also despite further losses of about rupees 114 crores in 2022, on a turnover of about rupees 97 crores, the company managed to raise 255 crore rupees from large investor funds at an unbelievable premium of rupees 5,41,061 per share of just rupees 10. Just to recap, the company started raising funds at a premium of rupees 17,545 per share in 2019, and its losses kept mounting at the cost of investors. It yet managed to raise humongous funds in 2022 at an inexplicable premium of rupees 5,41,061 per share of rupees 10. It is more a case of incompetent and indifferent fund managers who took the investment decision than one of a stealthy and smart fraudster at play who tricked and hoodwinked these investors. These rounds of rising losses, rising valuations and rising premiums would have perhaps continued, but for the sharp deterioration in the funding environment for the startups, making money not available on the tap anymore as it used to be in the frenzy to build fanciful unicorns and unsustainable businesses. It is just that the investors got more choosier and more circumspect, which got this round of mindless valuations and premiums for startups to a grinding halt, in the case of GoMechanic at least. Hoping to attract further investment at foolish valuations and premiums, GoMechanic had approached SoftBank and Khazanah, the sovereign fund of Malaysia, with a jacked up enterprise valuation of about 600 to 650 million dollars, only to hit a dead end after these incriminating findings of EY into its affairs. The company now faces a forensic investigation amidst allegations of inflated sales, fictitious garages, discrepancies in the revenue figures, contravention of accounting disclosure norms, and a potential siphoning of funds, all leading to suspect transactions and suspect accounts and suspect financial statements. It raises a pertinent question, which is as to how did this dubious operation go on for so long, despite several obvious signals that all was not good and kosher at GoMechanic, and despite the best of brains sitting in the funds, the best of brains sitting in the auditors and the investment advisors, etc., who were dealing with the company and its now disgraced promoters. These obvious signals to us were mounting receivables on the books of accounts, showing that perhaps the sales are not genuine. Were the increasing delayed debts and the bad debts certainly showing that the debts were not due? Rising number of short-term loans and advances given by the company not connected with its business. Mounting losses despite an expansion of the garage network and an increase in its revenue. And inadequacy of records and systems, as was pointed out by the then auditors, PwC, in 2020. Interestingly, while the company auditors did not give it a clean chit in 2020, though not for reasons of detection of accounting and financial misconduct, as have been revealed now, it however led to a change in the auditors of the company that year, and the new auditors, who happened to be a KPMG affiliate, gave it a clean chit report for the years 2021 and 2022, during which period its losses shot up and huge funds were raised from these investors. This saga raises a large number of points and issues to ponder over. The first one, funds often deal with public money, and the managers of these funds recklessly invested in GoMechanic at ridiculous valuations despite continued losses year after year. The second point to ponder over, these investors put in little effort to protect their interests, perhaps just depending on perfunctory audit reports and just letting it go by. If they are just a bit more vigilant and express the required diligence, then such malpractices can be nipped in the bud itself. The third issue, these investors perhaps simply depend on the auditors and are thus blind to the most obvious warning signals for them to see, and they ignore them all the time. The next one, this is another shining case of startup mania, of investment on baseless valuations and ignoring that ultimately it is positive cash flows and profits that build enterprise value, which were completely missing in the case of GoMechanic, and yet the investors kept pouring huge sums of money into it. The next point, in these valuations, only the top line has been considered, even if it was bogus, ignoring that the real foundation of an enterprise lies in the bottom line, which is in its ability to generate profits and build positive cash flows. Such is the condition of GoMechanic that its investors have realized that they have been taken for a jolly good ride, and they are already talking to other companies for sale of the company to salvage whatever pittance of a value they can now get. They are reported to have already written off their investments, and they have put the company on the block in a distress sale. Sequoia Capital, which owns 27% of the company, has had a rude awakening, and it is now considering special audits of startups where it has been investors in all cases. An expert remarked that this startup scam rightly hurts the entire startup ecosystem. It puts everyone in bad light. Investors, customers, auditors will trust less. Trust will come down and due diligence will go up, and perhaps so will the demand that auditors need to be investigators too, and that they must unearth fraud, which incidentally they said in their GoMechanics audit reports that there were none. The findings of EY say that perhaps there were numerous of them which were concealed year after year. The startup ecosystem is bound to have another shakeout with this kind of development. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.